Today we're going to compare 5 budget ultra compacts, meaning models whose base cost, without Black Friday adjustments, clocks in at no more than right around $300. So let's jump straight into it then, kicking off with our most recently reviewed model, the Kindercraft Newbie 2, whose price tends to be in the $200 to $250 range. The main positives of the Newbie 2 are its solidly constructed chassis, where its design is much closer to premium ultra compacts than comparable models within its own lower price class. The fact that it auto-folds, which can be useful for situations where you need to negotiate folding with only one hand free. That its recline is sufficiently flat to be newborn acceptable, and that its sitting surface, meaning the backboard, baseboard, and leg rest, have quite generous dimensions when it comes to length and width. On the negative side, the seat's positioned a bit low, leaving less room between the seat and footrest, which can make for cramped legroom for older toddlers. It doesn't fold down to within the IATA's cabin luggage guidelines, and there are no car seat adapters for the model. All that being said, in terms of base durability relative to price, the Newbie 2 can still make for a potentially good purchase for parents looking to get an ultra compact on a budget. Next up is the Silvercross Click, which is priced right around, though sometimes a bit over, $300. Positives with the Click include that it also auto-folds, also has a newborn acceptable reclined position, that it has a shoulder strap for easier carrying, and, though the Click similarly fails to fold down entirely within the IATA's cabin luggage guidelines, it gets a lot closer than the Newbie, which means more chance of using it for air travel anyway, provided that you pick the right airline. On the negative side, despite costing more, the Click is both significantly weaker structurally and more internally complex than the Newbie 2. It has a shorter sitting surface and an upright position that's too sloped, and it's much more prone to loosening and fiddly mechanical problems with the folding mechanism, as well as having the potential to develop other issues resulting from its shoddier construction, such as wobbly front wheels. And as a result of these problems, the truth is that the Click simply doesn't have a sturdy enough build to compete as well as a Newbie in my opinion, in terms of value for money. Moving on, we get to the Chicco Goodie Plus, which, like the Newbie, also clocks in at between $200 and $250 generally, and also auto-folds and has a newborn acceptable recline, like these other models. Its backboard is a bit shorter, which affects head support when the seat is reclined, but it has a deeper baseboard, a good upright position, and a decently long, if somewhat weak, leg rest. The Goodie Plus is the first model here to have car seat compatibility, though unfortunately only with a single seat from Chicco themselves. Durability-wise, the Goodie Plus is a bit on the fragile side, but not as bad as the Click, despite being more internally complex. And, while it's also a little above the IATA's cabin luggage dimensions, one can remove the rear wheels, which you can't do on the Click, to get it quite close. Additional negatives to be aware of are that the textiles feel a bit lower quality than with the preceding two models, and in addition, like the Click, looser front wheels can potentially lead to wobbling problems over time. All that being said, in general, the low price saves the Goodie in my opinion, where its smaller size versus the Newbie can make it acceptable for more limited uses, like going on holiday. Next up is the Joey Pact, the cheapest model today, which clocks in at often a little below $200, and has the same features of a newborn acceptable recline like these other models, but doesn't fully auto-fold. Positives with the Pact include the fact that it actually has proper car seat compatibility, with adapters of the common Maxi-Cosi Nuna Cybex type, that it has a long and comfortable to use shoulder strap, and that it has a more accessible shopping basket than the rest of these strollers. Unfortunately though, there are a lot of negatives as well, where the Pact has the worst sloping of an upright position so far, and the shallowest baseboard, which together almost guarantee that older toddlers will feel like they're sliding out of the seat. A fold that still doesn't conform to the IATA's guidelines, though like the Click and Goodie Plus, it gets close at least. Cheap feeling textiles, and the weakest build so far. So flimsy that, in my opinion, even with limiting use to occasional holidays, I would still be worried about it surviving, and how well it will handle the added weight of a car seat over time is also questionable. Despite being cheap, the Pact is simply too weak in my opinion to also have the seat issues that I mentioned, and thus, like the Click, is one that I'd recommend skipping. And last up today then is the Ergo Baby Metro Plus, which comes in right at $300 for the basic version anyway, and where the main positives are that it also has a newborn acceptable recline, it has that same main type of car seat adapter for Nuna, Maxi-Cosi, Cybex, and a variety of other brands. It has a very durable chassis, an adjustable handle, the best seat dimensions of all the models here today, and it's also the only of these strollers to actually fully make it within the IATA's cabin luggage guidelines. Negatives with the model, if you want to call them negatives, are firstly that the Metro Plus is a little heavier and chunkier feeling than most of these others, with the exception of the Newbie. Secondly, that it lacks rear frame suspension and has slightly smaller front wheels than these other strollers, though, that being said, the stronger build and larger than average rear wheels actually still make it better when the going gets rough in some ways. And lastly, that it's the only model here that doesn't auto-fold, in case this is an important factor for you, though note that it's still set up in terms of its mechanisms to be folded with one hand anyway. The Metro Plus is one of my favorite budget models currently, and of these strollers at least, the best bang for your buck in my opinion. In any case, we hope you found this video interesting, and if you did, please subscribe, as this sort of support really helps us to continue making videos in the future. If you'd like to know more about any of these models, we have standalone reviews for all of them that go into a lot more detail, and links have been added in the description. In addition, if you're currently shopping for a stroller, we have a buyer's guide on our Patreon page which lists a wide range of models that we recommend, with a lot of technical and lifestyle related information. You can find it by following the link in the description as well. Thank you.